when I came to God, I remember as a child, the ages of Shyla and Rashani and everything. I remember praying to God as much as I can remember, amen, on things that was going on in my life. And for a long time, my mom, when I grew up, my mom was on drugs. She was on crack cocaine since I can remember, amen. And it began to get worse and worse, amen, and began to become me and my sister living in a crack house, with drugs in, drugs out, people breaking in, guns all around, no food in the house. It began to be depressing. But at that time I was a minor, so I had no choice but to live there or hope for some type of miracle, hope that someone seen what, our life was and how we lived, and Amen. That they would do something. And that never happened. But I continued to pray as a child that my mom would be saved, would be delivered, would be healed from drugs. And that went on for years and years until it became to a point after we took her to so many rehabs and took her to so many places to get help. And she never stayed. She never was devoted. She never was dedicated. So she always went right on back to what she was doing. Amen. But I remember telling myself after a certain age, and this is after hearing my mom, someone asked her, well, you have children here. You going to choose drugs over your kids? And she said, yeah. Now, at that time, I knew my mom. She was high. She was on crack. When a person is bound by that spirit, all they think and all they know is that, how to get that, how to be that, how to have that. That's all they think. They don't think of the things around them, the things that they're hurting, the people that they're hurting, even themselves. They don't think like that. So I had an understanding when I got older that when she said the words that she said out of her mouth that hurt me so much as a child was that she had no control over the things that she was in, over the drugs that was overtaking her life, and the alcohol and the smoking and everything. I mean, she'd been through it all, rape, selling her body, everything that you can imagine she'd been through. And so, but I decided within myself that I'm just going to give up. I figure, hey, she going to die like that. She just going to die. One day I'm going to get a call and they going to say your mom overdosed or your mom got killed or your mom got murdered. And that's just what I came to grips with. I had to realize that, hey, that was going to be her life. So I went on to try to live my life the best way I knew how, which it wasn't great because I didn't have no mother to say, okay, this is how a woman is supposed to be. This is how a child is supposed to be. This is how a teenager growing up is supposed to, keep themselves. I didn't have that. So I started getting in my mind, I'm my own woman. I teach myself what I need to know and I ain't worried about nobody. So I started getting this spirit of I don't care and I don't need nobody, okay? And so I started planning that within myself to put this wall up to keep myself from repeatedly getting hurt. Amen. And then I didn't have no dad. Amen. My dad, that's a whole nother story. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
But I didn't have any dad. So I thought at the time I was raising myself. And then a man, he ran across me on the streets and I was at a party. I was smoking weed. I was drinking. And he started talking to me about God. And at first I'm thinking to myself, he's joking, right? And I'm high and waiting to get higher. And I'm thinking to myself, is he serious? But as he continued to witness to me, continued to minister to me, something came over me and tears started falling from my face. And I'm thinking to myself, he got my full attention now. I'm no longer high, I'm sober, and I'm listening to what this guy is telling me. And so he's saying, why don't you come to church? And one thing that I respect about people that I witness to today is that they're people of their word. Amen. I love a person that keeps their word. Amen. And when I was in the world, if you asked me to do something or if you called me a friend, I was that. It was no questions to it. I kept my word. Amen. So I said, okay, I'll come to church with you. I'll do that. I'll come and be a part of the service. I wasn't expecting anything spectacular to happen. I wasn't expecting to be saved. I was expecting to get out the next day and smoke some weed and go to a party and all of that. So, but when I came to church, God began to minister to me. And it was a revival coming up in the ministry. And for those that don't know, my pastor is my husband. Amen.
Amen.
So
Amen.
he was my pastor when I came. I was 19 years old and I grew up in the ministry, started serving God and serving my pastor. Amen.
Amen.
But God started ministering to me and he started talking to me. And before I know it, the man of God, he turned to me. I was way back there in the corner. You know, when you first come to church, you don't want to be seen. So you sit way back there and hope nobody don't see you. Amen. But I was way back there and he looked at me and he said, "Are you ready for your miracle?" And I'm like, yeah. And then he said, "Invite someone. God told me to tell you to invite someone to the revival." And I was the type of person that I had friends, but I was okay to be alone. So I also was a lone person. Amen. So I could do good either or. Amen. I can have friends or just be by myself, and I was fine with that. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, who am I going to invite? I don't know nobody that wants to come to church with me. You know, if I tell them I'm going to church, they're going to laugh at me, be like, "Stop playing it like that blunt," you know. But this was the people I hung around, so I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to invite. But then something came across me to ask my mom. And I asked my mom, and my mom said, okay. And when I went the next night to get her, she said she didn't want to come. She was getting high. She was smoking that very moment. At the time she was supposed to come, she was all into everything. And I said, well, Mom, you know, you said you were going to come, and you can come tonight, tomorrow, you know, the next day. The revival is going on for a whole week. And as I was talking to her, I guess something fell in her, and she was like, okay, let's go. So we came to church. Amen.
Amen.
And during the revival, I looked over to my mom, and my mom, the spirit fell on her. And she started shouting, and then the next thing I know, she passed out, and I started shouting, and I started screaming, and I started getting happy. Amen. I didn't know what God was doing, but I just knew I was happy that God was touching her. Amen. And so the miracle came behind when she got up. When she got up off that floor, it was like a woman that never touched crack cocaine in her life.
Hallelujah.
She didn't have no withdrawals. She didn't desire the taste anymore.
Hallelujah.
I took her home and she gave me all her crack pipes. She gave me her alcohol and cigarettes, everything. She told me to go throw them somewhere. Go throw them, put them in any trash can out there. But God delivered her. And what I'm saying is that at that very moment, God, I know God knows. Sometimes we say stuff God don't even know, but God knows that at that very moment, I fell in love with Jesus.
Yes.
At that very moment, I fell in love with him. And it was nothing else that God had to do or needed to do that would gain my trust. Amen. I was fully committed to him at that very moment because I knew that over the years of my childhood, and nobody was there. I don't even remember nobody teaching me how to pray. That's what's so amazing. But I prayed to a God that I did not know. And I thought that he did not hear me. But he did hear me. And when I was old enough to mature and understand what he was about to do, he did it. Amen.
Hallelujah.
And that's what made me fall in love with God. And I'm telling this story because that's the reason of my title, because the title is Love Deeper Than Comprehension. This is a love that you cannot comprehend, that the mind cannot comprehend, that people around you cannot comprehend, that is unexplainable and you can't understand it with the natural eye. Amen. Amen. Praise God. So I'm going to come from John 3:16. If everyone can turn from that, and as you turn for that, I'm going to pray. I first want to give glory and honor to God, who is head of my life and will always be head of my life. Amen. I give honor to my pastor, Apostle Lockhart, and I give honor and praises to the saints of God. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And